But moving on. So I guess from what was that to again, no surgeries. Great. That's a good thing. But I want to ask, so like, support,
Mhm.
your support group, like, again, it seems like your mom was very much supportive, and of course, like, your sister as well. So, oh well, the three of you, did you guys are like highly support each other, as far as like your mom talking to you guys, and then you like relying on your mom, as like that's the type of relationship.
Mm, okay, so I would say my support system does or is grounded with my mother and my sister just because we grew up together, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we share that unfortunately traumatic instance with my father passing, but also just us being as close knit as we are.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I have a great group of friends. I have wonderful mentors, which I'm super grateful about. I will say I was watching something earlier that was basically saying that like being artistic or having an outlet like the arts is very helpful as well to be a support, because you
Mm-hmm.
meet people who may not look like you or ever share your experience, whether they're women or they're black or they're have physical differences. I will say that that has been a great support system, an outlet for me to just have people to like see me, but not just one side of me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. I see what you're saying. That makes sense. So like, I mean, so again, like, yeah, that I can see that.
And like,
Like, she's more than this tall person. Yeah,
I
I
will
can
say,
see that.
because of what we talk about all the time, the spectrum of
Hmm.
Marfans, I think a lot of my relationships, especially my friendships, not just with men but with women, have been kind of, I wouldn't even say tested, but more so like investigated a lot more. So I do think it's important to have support from your therapist and from people who can give you non-biased perspectives. But I will say a lot of, in early years and in different friendships throughout my life, I have been very insecure, and a lot of them have always like done their best to speak life into me. But one thing I will say about being personally confident in this walk, if you have Marfans or if you don't, society is just really hard on people. But I do think it's necessary to have people in your life that like really show you, and
Hmm.
they aren't trying to project a particular like emotional response from you. They just want you to like, they want you to see your full self, I think is the best way to say it. So
Hmm.
a lot of the times, like especially when it came to like dating or like trying to um wrap my head around like having somebody accept all of these intricacies about me, it was more of like, I would have friends basically tell me like, you don't have to cover this up, or I don't know why you're hiding that, or I don't know, what you think people see you as. All of these like comments would come up because I would be so, I think when you have an image in your mind about who you are, you're kind of fixated on that versus just
Hmm.
having like an idea about yourself, um, and allowing yourself to grow in that. So like now it's less about, oh, I don't like how my neck looks in this, or I don't like how my feet look in these shoes. It's more of like, give yourself permission to be. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like you, since the shoes are the shoes, if they're comfortable and you like them and they have, the things that you're looking for, then get them. If you feel
Hmm.
good in the dress, if you like the shorts, if it's too hot to wear socks, you know what I mean? Like just do the things, because like giving yourself permission to be, in my mind, is allowing yourself um to showcase love, you know what I mean? Like not just for you, but for anybody who's struggling with what they look like.
I think that was also like a part of me coming out. Was like, well, I'll say this. Shade Room.
Mm.
That's the biggest bully on Instagram. And whatever, I'll say it again. I'll say it out loud. Whatever. So one thing, and I was just like, they're posting people, or just let's just say it's social media as a whole, posting people and like, So my brother asked me like, why did you do it? Again, besides being like highly convinced and being drunk at a bar, and it's just a bad combination. But thinking about it was, I didn't want that reaction if someone took a picture of me at the beach and what you see in the caption is, what's going on with him?
Mm-hmm.
So I told my brother I had to take the reins. Take the reins of like, this is how I want this to be. Because even then, like, I hid it from I made friends in college and I hid it from my friends. And then, of course, they would come to me like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, if I told you, we would not be friends. I just know how this would go. I had to wait until I was mature enough, and I thought that I think you were mature enough, and sorry.
Yeah.
But I told my brother I had to take that because I want to be comfortable going to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I still struggle with it. Don't get me wrong. We went to a pool party the other day. Did I go in the pool? Nope. Did I take off my tank top? I wore a tank top. Did I take off my tank top? Nope. But I wore shorts.
Mm-hmm.
I wore Crocs. I wore things that you could see my silhouette. You could see my structure. However, I'm still struggling with it. So I don't know if it's certain crowds that I feel comfortable like, even though you posted on social media, you've posted it everywhere. But even then, I don't know if it's like certain crowds. Am I still scared of something? Again, millions of people have seen you. There's nothing to be afraid of. Well, there's billions of people in the world, so this small little population, I don't know. But like, I forgot what we were talking about. But I'm still scared. I don't know.
And again, thank you for being honest, because it's scary. It is. But I think the thing about fear is like, it only lives in your mind. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you're afraid about, whether people are like bashing you on the internet or whatever the case may be, it could be a possibility, right? But it's not technically until it happens. So I think that gray area for me is where I've like coasted a lot, but also struggled a lot. So I've been where you are about trying to like pinpoint if it's crowds or if it's like something I'm still not quite comfortable with. But I think overall where I am now is just like, they're not really disconnected. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they all play a factor. I just don't think that they matter as much as your own peace. You know what I mean? So like establishing, like my mentor told me, she was just like, you're still figuring out what peace looks like to you. And sometimes it's not, explaining all of the things that make me unique. If you've never even asked me if I have Marfans or not, or what's unique about me, I think people see you and they know something, you know what I mean? But we're not in a society or in a culture that really like embraces you to talk about it as much, unless it's perceived in a particular way or presented in a particular way. So like you were talking about your chest and how you would wear backpacks. I would wear really long hair. You know what I mean? Like in high school or college, like you couldn't tell if there was giving tresses, and all you're like, I'm accentuating my face so that you're not necessarily focused on my body.
Hey, you know what's crazy? I grew my locks out, and that turned into an attribute that people looked at rather than focusing on anything else. They're like, your hair is so pretty. I'm like, yes.
Even with your beard, like I think people do it, whether that's conscious or unconscious. Like we're all like, forced to have this pressure of presenting a particular way, which is why Shade Room is such a like scary place, because it's like, well, I don't want to be perceived that way. But
that was honestly
yeah.
There's a lot of that goes to show you how much control that name and that platform had had over people.
Mm.
I'm not even a celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I see how they do people on here. Let me go ahead and knock this out. Let it be on me. But yeah, it's
Like
societal norms.
representation is super important. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another reason why I wanted to speak to you, because I just feel like a lot of times we don't get the chance to like showcase ourselves the way that we see ourselves. We're just caught in a like really awkward moment. The issue with celebrity and paparazzi and how we've been conditioned to see people is just that everybody has moments. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has those days that aren't the best versus, when we're all well put together, but it doesn't take away or invalidate like the whole of us. And I think a lot of us feel more comfortable living in moments versus like just living the whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do something that's cringe or look like I'm not well put together, but that's my reality. Like that's a part of the whole. So yeah, I think that we need to give ourselves some grace, and that for me is my mantra of like allowing yourself to be. Like any moment I feel I'm being super critical of myself or my body, I'm just like, well, that's what it is.
Okay. That I do that. Oh man, I guess I told you I was gonna learn something from talking with you today. I do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll sit and I hate it. I hate it. I'll sit on the couch. I'll sit on the part that has the chase, a little layout, and I'll be watching TV, no socks, feet up, and I'll start looking at my feet. And then I'll get not like angry, mad, upset. I'm between mad and upset that this has happened to me. But I remember when I found out the name of what was going on, neglected club foot. You Google that, you see cases worse than mine. You see cases to where people can't walk until they have a corrective surgery. I give myself grace. I say this is not the worst. There's someone out there that can't walk until they have this surgery that they probably can't afford. And there's a lot of, let's just say, African kids or cases that come up on Google, and I'm just like, how are they surviving?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, was somebody at the door?
No.
Oh.
You made me think of something, but yeah.
Okay. But I'll stop and just say, and even again, my mom used to tell me, she was just like, you're a bad case. Don't get me wrong. There's someone out there worse off than you. There's someone out there that can't afford to come to the doctor every year, 6 months the way I'm taking you now. There's someone out there worse than you, and I've seen it. So it's just like I can't be too mad at myself. Again, giving grace. I feel like I'm living a good life. I got people in my life that love me, and it's just like, and I have people in my life that will drop everything if something was to happen to me. So I can't be mad, but given again, people that are listening and watching, give yourself grace. And the first time I heard it that way was my sister, at least a month or two ago. I got I was trying to record my podcast. Everything on that particular Tuesday was going wrong. And I didn't record on Wednesday. I attempted to go to bed that Tuesday night angry. I called my sister after I left the house when nothing was going my way, and she was like, dude, you record every week. Give yourself some grace. So again, if you feel a certain type of way, I know it's hard for anybody, but if you're feeling some type of way, don't feel that way. Again, it's sad to say that yes, someone out there has it worse than you, but it's the truth.
Mhm.
And if you look at your situation and you look at your circumstances, you can breathe. I'm pretty sure you can breathe. Again, you're not home. If you're not homeless, you can breathe. Even if you're homeless, again, some people wish to have those physical attributes and like you, just of course not be homeless. Like, there's a lot of different things that you can just allow yourself to be happy, uh, and just live with the life that you do have. I mean, it's crazy. So like that, though, in those moments, and I do it more than I should.
Mm.
I do look at myself and just be like, I wish this wasn't it. But and again, I'm not joking when I do say if there's ever a Captain America sign up sheet, I'm the first on that sheet. I'm not joking when I say that. However, until that moment comes, I look back, I look and just say, I'll be all right. I'm at the point to where I can make my life as comfortable as I want it,
Mhm.
so I'll be okay. So I mean, again, there's things out there for people that can definitely make it comfortable for them. Do what you need to do, and eventually you'll be good. Um, One thing, okay, with that, so the support group that you have, your mother and your sister, very close knit. Do you ever wish you had more support than just them? And of course, again, the friends that you made along the way.
Mhm.
Do you feel like, excuse me, more support is needed, or do you want more support? Or even again, what does support look like to you? And do you feel like you want more of that?
I think I could always use more support. I do think that, while you were speaking, I thought of basically what my guidance counselor told me, in elementary school. She was essentially saying to appreciate what you have because somebody would love to be in your shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what you were saying. It's just like everybody, whether I think that's not necessarily the way that we have to go about it, but we do compare ourselves a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Just to say, oh, I could never do that. Or like there's somebody who could never survive your situation just
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have the same mind as you. They don't have the same support group as you.
Mm-hmm.
So all that to say, like for me, support means like taking initiative to, I guess, develop the language that like uplifts someone else. You know what I mean? Like even if it's not just language, like maybe that's not your way of showing up. If it's like, I know you said that these shoes are really comfortable, so I bought you these shoes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I know you said you don't really like showing off your collarbone, so I got you this really frilly top that will,
Mm-hmm.
distract or deflect from whatever you think is going on. So it's more of like honoring somebody's like truth. So for me, like I think dating and relationships have been a little difficult, not because of Marfans specifically, but more so because like people aren't showing up for me in a way that feels inclusive to me having Marfans. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know what that looks like right now, so it's kind of hard to unpack. But I do think that there's something that comes to mind. There's a Instagram group or collective called the Born Different Show. And I think they do a great
What?
job. Yeah, check it out for sure. Anybody listening, please check out the Born Different Show. It's super dope. And it will give you context, right? I think what we're talking about is like feelings aren't facts, but they feel like facts. You know what I'm saying? So like at the end of the day, you feel like you're alone when you're when you're looking at your feet, or when you're looking at how unique your body is, you feel like you're the only one experiencing this. Um, and it's hard to relate to somebody like my mother who doesn't have Marfans, or the partners that I've had who have never had anything physically super unique about them. It's hard to like express your feelings as facts because it's identified that they're not facts. You know what I mean? Like, they're just how I feel about myself. That may not be how you see me at all, so it invalidates it as being a fact. But I do think shows like Born Different showcase a great way to support people, because it allows them to at least have a voice in saying like, my life isn't horrible. You know what I mean? Like, I've experienced love in a lot of different ways. I've been able to travel the world. Like, these feet have taken me far. I appreciate them, you know, but at the end of the day, yeah, like, I definitely have those days where I'm like, I really wish this wasn't it. Like, I really wish like these little things could be tweaked, because my life would be so much better. But the truth is, like, I think platforms like what you're doing with the Marfan's Homie and the Born Different show can help you to have a wider scope of like what people experience, and know that like it's just a human experience. It's not necessarily, you know, Marfan, the disability as a whole, or relationships, or being Black. It's like we all go through it. Like, we all have things that we're, you know, not quite comfortable with. But I think it's our decisions to continuously like hone in on what that is. Like, I used to think guys wouldn't want to date me because of my feet, and I'm just like, well, if they want you for your feet, like, do you really want them? Like, that sounds like a pretty cringe person. But you know, breaking it down to that has taken a lot of self-awareness, and it's also you have to like disassociate yourself from what you look like, which is very hard because we don't live in a society that celebrates things outside of, you know,
the norm.
aesthetics. Like, if it looks good, it is good. It's like, no, it could be horrible, but it can look good. So
with that, let's see. Growing up, and I guess let's just say high school to now, honestly, dating. How do you navigate, I guess, dating with having Marfans? And then the follow-up question: was it weird at first, and is it still weird? Like, what does that look like? Again, now this is coming from a woman, African American, with Marfans, and this, I would think it was different for me, and I would think as I guess as a woman, and this is why I'm asking, was it different than what you've seen or heard from like your non-Marfan peers? And again, what is that whole ordeal look like in your life?
I'm so glad we got to this. As I put on my lip gloss, it's been, I'll say my dating experience has been mad weird, not because of Marfan specifically, but because of the way that women are socialized to think about men. Because I grew up on a lot of TV. Women are seen in this way that, like, one, it's the stride, right? Like, it's the walk towards the guy. She's got on heels. It's giving the legs are straight. It's no knock knees. There's no fallen arches. Like, it's very much a visual thing. So because we've been like conditioned that men are visual creatures, I myself am a very eclectic woman. I've gotten a lot of like, oh, like I love talking to you. So it's been like, guys like keep me in this very safe bubble where it's like, oh, we can hang out, just you and me. Like, we can, a lot of my younger years, because I started dating like when I was 16, and essentially it was like, it was environmental, right? So like, my first boyfriend was the church drummer. I sang in the choir. So
Okay.
very serious, but you know, we're here. But it was cool because I felt like a lot of my relationships I kind of initiated because I felt like, again, in society, the girl was seen as this. I knew I wasn't that because that's just not how I was ever like approached or like all the things. The point is, I spoke earlier about like, I felt like I was the awkward girl, but I had a lot of pretty friends. I don't know why these girls chose to befriend me. I feel like that's a deeper subject for a deeper time, but neither here nor there. You know, I wouldn't say that I was very popular growing up, but I wasn't necessarily isolated. People like accept me into their social spheres. But I always felt out of place. I always felt kind of awkward because guys weren't approaching me the way that they were my friends. So they weren't, you know, guys would say random stuff like, oh, you must hate short guys. You know what I mean? Like, just, there was never any direct, hi, how are you? I'd like to get to know you more. It was very much like, Jesus, you're tall. Like, it was just, I can admire you, but I don't know what to do with you. So I likened my, like, experience to that of a unicorn. Like, I'm sure if you saw a unicorn in real life, you'd be like, wow, that's great. I will never take that home. Like, I don't know what to do with that, but I might, you know, pet it. I might like spend some time with it for a minute, but like, yeah, I don't know what to do to take care of you because you're not what I'm used to seeing. Even though you're not too far off, I know that you're not like a regular stallion, you know, and you're definitely not a pony, you know. But,
good analogies. Oh man,
I love visuals. You're not technically a giraffe, but you're like, you're just far too different for me to know how to navigate with. But I will say, like, tons of people have attempted. I'm still figuring myself out. So like, most of my relationships were like built on the fact that we could have an articulate conversation. Like, a lot of it was very intellectual because I talk. So guys, to my surprise, actually like to talk. They actually like to share. But I felt the difference between my interactions and my friends' interactions were like, guys would like take them on dates and like they'd go here and go there and go all these other places, and guys would just like bring me to their house or we'd get some food and we'd just talk and chill and all these things. But I was just like, I think,
what do you think that was?
So there's a lot of things that I think. Obviously, I do think that for anyone watching, men or women, things only go as far as you allow them to go. So I think my understanding in this, you know, I can attribute it to society and the way that we're groomed and all these other things. But the truth is, I think deep down, I was just curious. I was a very curious person. So I was more invested in the physical, in knowing people, than I was like, I think the intellectual was the way that I like got in, you know. But I was more invested in like making people, this is a thing, I think I was very intrigued as time progressed that men were attracted to me, because at one time they weren't. So when you go from a place of like nobody checking for you to like slowly but surely seeing you, now you're trying to stay in that zone. You never want to go back to this place. So for me, I think I weaponized my femininity a lot. So I became like a bit of a tease, and like guys would kind of put me in a mindset to think that I was this like I was likened to a model a lot, which I really felt like was an honor at one time, but I didn't take it as that. I took it as like an insult, because models obviously are physically gorgeous, but they're also like, their main function is to walk, and to walk in a particular way. So because I couldn't, or I didn't see myself in that way, I felt like people were low-key ostracizing me, or low-key like making fun of me. Like, you could get there, but because of this, You're never
Mm-hmm.
going to. So let me boost your confidence so that you give me what I want. But the truth is, we all know, this is how I see you. So
Mm-hmm.
all that to say, I fed a lot of my ego at that time. So dating was less about like growing with the person and more about controlling a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that toxicity and like manipulation was just, it was just common. It was really normal. But I realized it didn't work for me. Like it just, one, it didn't feel good, and two, it didn't manifest into the experiences I wanted to have. So I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, to my peers' points, I wasn't going on these dates. I was going to the house. We would talk, but it would always like lead to something physical because that's what I presented. And I was just like, oh, okay, this kind of sucks. Like I want to redo.
So, with that, the physical portion,
Mm-hmm.
again, was it weird? Was there a huh?
Yeah, I was trying to get back on subject, but
Oh no. Well, I mean, was the well, all right for me. It was weird. I think I told you a little bit yesterday during mic check. Socks. Never took my socks off for the first full year. T-shirt. That came as a surprise when I finally decided to take that piece off.
mm-hmm.
Let's leave like those two things, because again, those are the two biggest. Like once you've seen those, we're locked in.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Mm.
So like, was there any like insecure weird time where it was just like, how do I get past this?
Yeah. Thank you for bringing me back. I did have an experience with a young man, and this is like the first time I felt like I was in love. I wasn't, but the point is, the first time I spent the night over his house, the morning after, it was just a morning time ritual. But the point is, like, he pulled out like shea butter and was like looking to massage my feet. And at first I was very apprehensive because I was like, oh my God, he's gonna know. And it's like, for me, the physical aspect was like a way to distract everything. So I was very confident in my body, even though it was weird. I was like, I played on certain strengths. So if I felt like, if I presented myself in a particular way, men wouldn't notice, they just wouldn't notice. And obviously at that point, they wouldn't necessarily care. So it was less about like, there were things I was insecure about that weren't always like super duper obvious, like feet or my collarbone or things like that. Because I think those are the main things for me that are super like I'm insecure about. But this particular person, on several occasions, I think he was the start of me like accepting me. Even to, excuse me, my throat is doing weird things. Excuse me for a moment. Let me just get some water.
No problem. So yeah, guys, we are going through this interview, and I'm just going to talk until Miss Jamie gets back. But I hope you guys are enjoying this little interlude that we have. And now the interlude has finished. Back to the still drinking the water. All right, back to the experience.
Yay! Okay, great. Thanks for the interlude. So, on several occasions, the same person would rub my feet and rub my legs. Those were things that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with at that time, but I think that it helped to like kind of ease the idea that, certain parts of you are unlovable. Anyone listening, there's someone out there who's gonna love everything about you. not because they actually like it, but because they like you.
I second that.
Like,
She's speaking truth.
It's a thing. So I think I was grateful for experiences to happen like that early in life. I was like in my first year at college then. I was 19, I remember. But, get forward to 30, there have been like little instances where small things have been awkward, like taking off my contacts to wear glasses. Like, I did not, like you said, certain things like made you locked in. Never have I like shown you my bifocals, you know what I mean? Because I never updated my glasses to be a bit more like swanky. No, you're gonna get, the granny lenses for sure. Because I like them. I don't mind them at all. But the point is, like, I never even, it was awkward to like, be at a guy's house and you're watching movies or you're talking for a long time or you're out, at dinner, whatever the thing is, your eyes get dry. After a certain time, I'm like wanting to take my contacts out, but like it's awkward, or like putting the droplets in, that's super weird. So certain things like that. But yeah, there were moments where I felt like maybe I just wasn't being perceived the way that I wanted to, and I couldn't really do anything to change that. So a lot of the relationships in my life were filtered because people were willing to be honest, or I was just recognizing that person really wasn't there for me. So yeah, I hope that answered it.
I got a couple of things out of there.
I shared the socks for you. I said I did share the thing with the socks. Like, socks were a big thing. Like, fuzzy socks.
So, how do I say this in the most appropriate way possible? So, okay. So being or doing the physical or being physical wasn't an issue for you. Like, being in the moment. Was it? It seems like it was the before and after. Like, again, exposing yourself, your collarbone, and your body, and then after, like, oh man, I hope he doesn't go and get the shea butter. Like, were those moments, like, again, the before and after, scary, or like was the during, like, was it easy? Like, again, were you conscious about certain things during that whole moment?
I tried to be as conscious as I could be, but there were, because I felt really, really okay. I think the biggest thing is like you see yourself as normal because you wake up and go to sleep with yourself every day. But I think when you bring someone into that super intimate space, you start to like, look at yourself a little different. Like, how does this person perceive me, when I'm walking over to them and I may not have on as much clothes as I do normally? Like, are you still attracted to me at all? So like, it was very nerve-wracking, like I said, for a long time, which I think is very damaging that girls do no matter what, is like, I attributed a lot of my self-confidence to how men perceived me before. You know what I mean? Not knowing about the after, really. Like, not having full context, but just knowing that for me, it was an accolade to like get you to that place no matter what. Because I felt like deep down, physically, it wasn't like, there's nothing that's good enough because of how I'm perceiving myself versus the reality. So like, that's when the feelings and the facts thing came into play. And I was just like, well, I feel like I'm not attractive, but if I stand in front of this person and I'm bearing all and they're still attracted to me, then that's not a fact, So yeah, I don't advise that. Just never.
Well, I would say Like, don't advise. Well, let's don't advise what. Like, using that as a like a boat of confidence.
I think especially when you're unique physically, you should really
Mm,
get to know a person before you do anything with them intimate, because like they might not even be on board for you. They might have a like idea about your confidence because of your physicality that
mm-hmm,
they will try to take advantage of. And I think that's another thing that people don't speak about is like people with disabilities are just like normal people. Like they have relationships, they have you know, intimacy with people all the time. But the
mm-hmm,
fact is like what people don't discuss is that people with disabilities and people with physical differences are preyed on a lot just because they're seen as easy targets, you know. So yeah, I don't think that's like isolated just to people who are
mm-hmm.
physically different. But I will say in the scope of like being a black woman, it's like you're already kind of programmed that you're not what guys are looking for and you're not what guys are attracted to. So
Mm-hmm.
you do a lot to overcompensate for that, like that narrative.
Mm-hmm. And then let's see. So, I mean,
Do you agree with
okay.
that or no?
No, well, so one thing that I've said in one of my other podcasts, finding the self confidence on your own is important.
Mm-hmm.
Having someone to reaffirm that is a great thing. And I say that because I didn't I'll say I didn't know I was gonna have a girlfriend until my first girlfriend. I thought I was gonna go through life being alone and stuff and whatever the case may have been. And when I got my first girlfriend, it was like a new level was unlocked
Mm-hmm.
within me,
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Oh, it's possible." People, someone, yet alone people, do find me attractive. Um, so I hell, give me a compliment. Like I it helps me. And again, I think it might be different between men and women because again, all the men that I've seen don't have what's going on. So women do flock to them. Um do talk to them and whatever else. And again, grade school, he has a big head, he's tall, he's skinny, while everyone else is, no matter the skin tone,
Mm-hmm.
oh, non big head, meat on his bones. And it was just like, dang. And it's like, I was like, I don't think I'm ugly. I'm just not I guess the flavor of the month or just like not looking like everyone else. So again, when that came to me, I I felt great. And again, and it's like, what is it? Now we can even bring in like the law of attraction. Once I started to feel that way, more attention, more good attention started coming to me. So it was just like, nah, I appreciate you. You 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 put something in me. Like I unlocked a new level of how I feel about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started going to the gym. That unlocked another level. So now I'm I'm deeming myself as this tall, strong, handsome person that people are attracted to. So, but again, I don't know. Not to say I probably wouldn't have got it. I don't know how long it would have took if it did not happen at when it happened. And I honestly say I'd be like, thank you. Like it's so. I mean, again, I and it sounds bad, but like I thank somebody for taking the opportunity on me. But like it did something to me. I'm not gonna lie. It honestly did something to me. And again, like And now it's just like, if some random person was to ever call me ugly, I'd be like, nah, you a hater, because that's not true.
Yeah.
But like, again, if that a person was to do that and I did not experience everything up to now, as far as like relationships and like confidence builders go, I'm like, dang, he probably right, because ain't nothing happened for me yet. So I don't know. I guess that's thinking a little bit differently on that, which is okay.
I respect
But
that.
but yeah,
I think it does help.
but it's just, again, I think again, even again, and how would I say it? I don't know. I'm not gonna say that, but it's just like, not to say it's harder. Who's to say it's harder? But it was just like, it was hard for me.
Mhm.
Again, getting a girl or a woman to notice me was definitely hard. Again, I wasn't the best dressed already. I wasn't the best looking at the time, and then I had to grow into myself. Most definitely grow into myself, which again, I'm pretty sure attributed to the first relationship and everything like that. But nah, I would say, like, again, shout out to her. You did great things. So it is what it is. But yeah.
Nice. It's interesting that you say you thought you were gonna be alone, because like I think you feel that, but like it's interesting because you're the guy, right? So naturally, or the way that we've been taught is like the man approaches. So because I felt like there wasn't going to be a man approaching, to your point, like I felt like I was going to be single, I did like do my best to take initiative to like do more, but I think to what you were saying, when you start to have the energy like I'm good enough, you start to attract people that are like, yeah, I mean, of course you're worthy of love, like I don't mind giving that to you. But that did have to come later with a lot more self-awareness and like better choices.
Yeah, and I did. I agree. It's better choices, and then just being aware. But again, I started to, again, that happened in college. I started to carry myself different. Again, in college, I was finding a style that worked for me. So that's, yeah, other things, of course, led up to that moment. But it's just like, I'm here. I feel it. I feel I'm in the moment now. This is great. This is where I need to be, or where I want to be. Like, I've never experienced this. It's a whole new experience. So yeah, most definitely. So off that, onto this. Again, with the physical, the way that you look at yourself, when you do catch yourself thinking about your condition, and if it ever brings you down, what are some things that you do to help bring yourself back up?
It's a very good question. I think, much like you said earlier, I have to reflect and like, give myself grace, because the judgments that I typically have, they're rooted in a place of comparison. You know what I mean? Like, they're not necessarily like, oh, I'm just starting to feel down. I may get on social media, which I will say is like not the best place to be if you're not in the best mood. Like, when you wake up and you're like not really feeling yourself, don't get on social. Don't make it worse. I will say what grounds me and what keeps me like kind to myself is going out in nature and realizing like I have a tendency to look at different trees and look at different like the formations of things, and I realized like, no, we all have our unique design. Like, nobody is out here saying, oh, that shrub is just too short. Like, no one is really criticizing nature, and I think we can learn a lot from it, in like not criticizing ourselves and realizing like when you start to take a moment to like view those things, you understand that they're intentional, which means like you're not here, like you said, I think during our mic check, like you wouldn't want any of your other siblings to have to experience what you've experienced. And I think that that sometimes like that context isn't given when you want to feel bad for yourself. But I think that when you view it from a bigger scope, like try to like see the bigger picture. When I'm critical of myself, I realize I'm standing too close to a problem. You know what I mean? And like, you know,
Okay.
you gotta back up.
Okay.
You do. And that's why, you know, going outside helps me because I feel smaller, you know, especially like near water or something like that. But if I'm around a lot of trees, I start to see all their differences. And I'm just like, well, why would you want to be, you know, something that kind of blends into everything? Like you have a very unique experience here that you could give to other people who may be struggling with something similar. Or you just have something like when we were talking earlier just about the ability that you have to do certain things. Like certain people, they really don't have the luxuries that you do or the privileges that you've had access to. So I think for me, when I go outside, it helps me to be aware of those things. Like one, I have a park that I can go to. I'm not surrounded by industrial things. I have transportation to go to those places. You know, like I start to count my blessings and I start to realize like, oh no, like you're good.
See?
Like you really are good, but you do need to like take a step away from comparing yourself to other people.
As I said earlier, counting your blessings is definitely first key. That'll put you, like, I feel like that will put you back in a mood that you didn't experience like that week or something. Counting your blessings, and then again, like you basically said, removing yourself from that environment that's making you think that way. Again, one day I was sitting at my desk and things don't normally get to me, especially like getting older. I'm just like, it'll be all right. I was working and something had happened at work. I didn't know what to do. I think that was like my first panic attack or whatever. I got up, went outside. At this point, my nerves are like, I'm shaking. And I was like, stuff don't get to me like this, especially work. Get another job. So I'm shaking. I was like, let me get up and just go outside. As I'm going outside, the shaking is slowing down. As I'm starting to walk around the neighborhood, it's starting to stop. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm not listening when people say walks help or remove yourself from that environment. I've never, because I've always, again, and again, something I'm working on in therapy as far as like brushing stuff off. Don't wait to brush it off. But like do something about it then and there. If you brush it off, you're gonna brush it away and it's gonna be like a what's it called? A boomerang. It's gonna come right back to you. But I took that walk and I was like, fresh air does help. Removing yourself from an environment does help. Thinking about it outside of that environment does help, because again, you're going to have to come back to it. You have to have a solution or need to start thinking of a solution by the time you come back. So again, with now that was work, but with it being Marfans, counting my blessings. And if I honestly, and I'll say this honestly, if I start to think about it too much, I'll cover it up. I'm not even gonna lie to you, and I don't think that's the best thing to do. But because again, you're either gonna take the socks off, take the t-shirt off, something when you're going to sleep. But it does allow me not to think of it at that moment. So that's. I'm not gonna say that necessarily brings me back up. It does. Not submerge, but like press it down a little bit up until I can either bring myself back up, or until like me and my feet are face to face again. It's like, oh, we meet again. But
Yeah.
nah, I feel that though. Like, again, removing yourself, uh,
I also
a spoiling action. But yeah, I get that. Just to spoil yourself for something.
yeah. I mean, I will say like truths and practices are what I'm trying to master in this stage is like
Mm-hmm.
to what you're saying. For me, like I'm a very spiritual person. Like I was raised to be Christian, but I didn't really have a strong relationship with God until later in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do feel like having truths to stand on, like whatever those may be, can sometimes give you verbiage to like combat those feelings. So like, you know, in the Bible it's like you're fearfully and wonderfully made, or like God has plans to prosper you. And not to harm you. So it's like if you had plans, or if you knew me from the time that I was born, like you knew all of these things that I would face.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a truth that I stand on. But it's also like, you know, for anyone who's not a religious person, there's books. Like Miguel Ruiz is an incredible author. He wrote this book called The Four Agreements. Also The Mastery of Love, if you want to get into that. So good.
All right. So we're not gonna get into the books. However, we can definitely have a conversation about my man right there. I have the Four Agreements, the Fifth Agreement, and the Mastery of Love, and the Book of Knowledge.
Yeah,
those books are like
you'll be fine if you read the Four Agreements and nothing else. Like you'll be straight, because the two that I try to stand on in terms of truths is not to take anything personal. Okay, because I'm still working on the other two, so I'm only going to mention these. When you read it, you'll get it. But honestly, don't take anything personal and don't make assumptions. Like I think that's what's helped me, especially with the Marfans, not project onto other people. And also, guys, like therapy, it's a great practice, right? Going outside, taking deep breaths is a great practice. Going to church or talking to your support group, that's a great practice. But having those truths when you're alone and it's like late and like things are really rough, whatever the thing is, whatever the words are, please like just have some truths that you stand on. A lot of people write mantras on their mirror, something that you see every day. For me, it's like it's different every time I feel like changing it. But right now, it's like I have everything that I need. You know what I mean? Like that's one that I really like keep in the middle. Because I think when you again compare yourself, it gets rocky. But there will always be times where life comes at you. So having those truths and practices can help.
So y'all heard it. Having something that makes you happy, something that you can stand on, something that you believe in there's no doubt about it. It's going to help. Believe us or not, but it's going to help. Having something that makes you happy, going to help. And again, as the books that we were getting excited about, again, those books are the Four Agreements, the Fifth Agreement, the Book of Knowledge, and the Mastery of Love. My recommended order: Four Agreements, Fifth Agreements, Mastery of Love, then the Book of Knowledge, if you wanted to read them in any particular order. Life-changing. Will your life change? That's up to you if you allow those books to do that for you. But I think we can both say that those books, if not that one book, the Four Agreements, definitely life-changing, definitely thought-provoking. And it definitely, and again, yes, it definitely helped, not with just like coping with Marfans, but again, coming into adulthood and just wanting to be, and I'm pretty sure you can agree, like wanting to be a better person. Again, the first agreement is being impeccable with your word. But again, you even take that back, you have to be impeccable with yourself. You have to give yourself those affirmations, and tell yourself those affirmations of just like, even if they're not even the biggest of the affirmations, like, nah, bro, we good. Like, I'm good. Start off there, then saying I'm great, then saying I'm fabulous, saying I'm wonderful, saying nothing can get to me today. So nah, man, go out, get those books. Let's move it along though. But so that was good. Again, go for walks. So again, definitely the moral of that question was find something that makes you happy. Again, Jamie goes on walks. I watch TV. I've starting to find, just minus the physical activity of going for walks, how peaceful and mind cleansing a walk or a run can be. But yeah, those things. So next question, and this one is long. Jesus. What are your hopes and aspirations for the future, both personally and in terms of raising awareness and support for Marfan syndrome within the African American community? And I'll say it one more time.
No pressure.
One more time. What are your hopes and aspirations for the future, both personally and in terms of raising awareness and support for Marfan syndrome within the African American community? And I won't talk because I don't want you to lose the question. So,
thank you for that beautiful question. That was so short and concise. Joking, that's a beautiful question. But my hope personally for my future is that I make myself proud. I stopped putting very like superficial, I'll say, goals next to like my ambition in life. I really want to be at peace. I really think that is something that we don't value as much as we should. So what that looks like to me is creating spaces for Black women specifically to see themselves represented on screen that is, in my perspective, respectful and various, like just having an eclectic view of what it means to be a Black woman, because it doesn't always have to be a Black woman with a really great job and a super like tight body. Like it could very well be a Black woman who loves her friends and supports them and maybe uses a wheelchair, you know, like at the end of the day, I think my biggest ambition in life is to give people a voice that have never been heard. I think that would be a great honor. And personally, I just, again, want to create like enough space for myself to have like rest and love and abundance around me so that I'm not necessarily trying to meet a quota, but I have a healthy height that I'm trying to reach. And yeah, I think, you know, there's a Black girl out there with Marfan syndrome who is looking for an example, and I hope to create one.
Bam. Y'all got one. Bam. And again, yeah, I hope you're okay with it, but all your Instagram, that'll be in the description. Definitely follow her on Instagram. And if there's any other way or any other, I guess, Instagram that you may have had, that you would like people to go and visit or follow and DM you and ask you questions about navigating this life. Yeah. So all of those will be in the description. We'll talk after to get all of those. But yeah, all of those will be in the description.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, and then even then, for me to answer that question, it's just I'm the Marfan homie. Like those words weren't like homie. Come on. that was it. I wanted to basically make it to where African American individuals and people of color are, or again, well, let's start there. African American and people of color are comfortable telling at least me, someone, that they have Marfans, and I did want to be that example because again, people have came up to me like, dude, you look good. How? Wait, what do you eat? What do you do? How do you exercise? And I'm just like, dude, I eat 3,000 calories a day and I go to the gym every day. That's all I can tell you. But again, just telling, just like coming to me and be like, hey, I have Marfans. I'm scared about this, and I feel blessed enough for someone to share that with me, and probably like their best friend doesn't even know, but like somebody doesn't know, but they would tell again a stranger just because they're looking at that. So that's what, again, this is um the Marfan homie. And then of course anyone else with Marfans, non-color or a person of color, a person of not color, but if you have no one to talk to, I am encouraging you to at least talk to me if you hear this. If you've seen me come across any of your YouTube, Instagram, any platform, and you hear this message, I'm here to talk. I listen. I will give you. I'm gonna text you as much as you text me with whatever it is you want to talk about. I promise you that. But yeah, so besides this podcast, I do want to go to a like a Marfan syndrome, like not expo, but conference. So I've noticed like on the Marfan Foundation's page, they host quite a bit of Marfan syndrome conferences, and I'm just like, man, just to just be there, because again, I didn't. Not to say again, I didn't know that Marfans wasn't a thing around the world. I just never seen normal people with Marfans just like there until I was again got to the hospital, and they were like, no, there's a population here. Again, I went inside the Facebook group and they were like, oh, we live in this part of Texas, this and the third. I said, let's have lunch. I haven't heard anything back. But again, just to be around those people that are going through something similar, that do have ways of showing support, I think that's not to say that's all that's needed, but I think that's needed. And again, if I'm the person, the African American person to come out and say it, or the African American male to come out and say it, because again, it seems like, again, with your story in elementary school, you let that be known early, which is good. I was just like, I don't know. While you were saying it, I was like, I don't know if I could have done that. However, within, let's say, like the on the male side, it's like, I don't think they're gonna be that quick to speak up. And all I'm here to say is speak up. I know it's a lot. I know you might feel like you're going through it alone. You're not. And I had to notice that as well. So I'm guilty. But I figured out I wasn't. Again, I've met Jamie. I've met people that have wrote to me. You're not by yourself. There's support groups, not necessarily just Facebook groups, but there's support groups. So yeah, definitely, you're not alone. If you hear this, if you hear any of my other podcasts, definitely reach out. And all right. Well, and I believe we got a couple minutes left. You said anytime before 12. So, but no, we're wrapping up.
You don't have to rush.
I'm about to say, now we're pretty much there. I mean, that was pretty much the last question I had, but I wanted to, like I was telling you, I have the words of advice, and I wanted you to go first. If you have, if you have any words of advice, like what are some things you would say, again, navigating this life while being African American, being an African American woman, and having Marfans? Any words of advice to women in a similar predicament?
Yes, definitely. I know it sounds cliche to love yourself, but what I will say is that you can picture yourself as the ideal version that you want to be, and then show up as that. So, like, I think for me, being a single Black woman who has this condition and who does want to build a family with somebody, a lot of the times, like, I can be hesitant about going out or wearing certain things or just showing up in a way that I feel I would if I was in that position where I was, married or had kids or had this illustrious career. So I
Hmm.
have made a practice and I would advise people to show up in that way. Like, go on the dates, wear the dress, like, pop out, put on the makeup, put on
Your
the
freaking black dress, you better go ahead and put it on.
like, seriously, because I promise you, like, don't wait for your life to become this thing that you think is worthy of celebrating. Life is worth the celebration now. Honor
Hmm.
your existence now, and yeah, do things that make you happy, that bring you joy. Love yourself.
Bam. Y'all heard that. Put that freaking dress on, ladies, and just be yourself and wear it. I know this an old song I used to listen to.
It doesn't have to be
The
a freakum dress. It could be a sundress.
and again, those are very much appreciated among the male community. But but again, be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Um, and again, well, yeah, just don't afraid to be yourself. But what else would I add anything to that? Again, basically, do what makes you happy. Um, if not even if, do what makes you happy. Do what makes you comfortable. Do what makes you happy. And I mean, as abrupt as it sounds, people are gonna get in line. That's it. They're either gonna like the way of what you're doing, or on to the next friend, associate, or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
I mean, again, you guys are gonna appreciate each other and what you guys have to bring to the relationship, whether it's a friendship or a intimate one. So I mean, again, people are they're gonna accept you for who you are. Those are the people that you want around you. And I've said this before. The people that accept you for who you are, what you're going through, and again, overall respect, those are the people that you want around you.
Hmm.
Um so bam, we got through that. Conclusion, again, you guys are great. Uh do what makes you happy. Be around people that make you happy, additionally into your internal happiness. Um and again, live life as you see fit. You're doing the positive things, you're doing the good things that are deemed, I guess, good. Again, as long as you're not messing with someone else's, I guess, way, or just like disturbing someone else's way. As long as you're doing what you need to do in a good, positive manner, do it. And again, if that's helping you, you're adding to your happiness, adding to your confidence, adding to your self-esteem, like all of that, do it in the best way possible. Um, so shout out to Jamie. You are the greatest.
Thank
Like,
you.
from the bottom to the top of my heart, I definitely appreciate you for being here today, taking time out today. Um, I would like to interview, or get, let me stop saying interview, get you and your sister on the podcast at the same time. We can work on that off of this, but would like to get y'all both on here to give, again, more perspective, more talking topics,
Mhm.
because this was great. How to reach me or how to reach us, again, everything will be in the description, you guys. um Again, we're here, you guys. If you didn't know Jamie existed before, you definitely know now. Again, hit her up, ask those questions, and she may have some advice. You take it. If you don't take it, Okay, but again, we're just here to help. We're here to help in any way that we can, and we're young. We're navigating the same life too. We just probably got a couple, like probably what 4 years over the person that might DM us. So it is what it is. But we're like I said, we're here. We're navigating the same life as well. Um, again, I appreciate you guys. So go ahead, subscribe, repost, go listen to, if this is your first listening to, go and listen to the other podcast. Shout out to Jamie for actually listening to my podcast, and finding things that she could more or less correlate with, or just like, I've experienced that before, just have that awe moment. Again, much appreciated. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you know the little bell thing that everybody shouts out at their end of their YouTube videos. So go ahead and ring the bell so you're notified every time something new posts. With that, I'm gonna say again, thank you, Jamie. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is the Marfan Homie, and we are out. Peace.
Peace, everyone.